Okay, welcome to the video that shows the making of the 4-color bowls. First thing I'm doing here is I am drawing lines, dividing my bowl blanks, which are 7 inch by 7 inch by 2 inch, so that the 7 inch is divided into 4.5 inch and 2.5 inch. And then I'm cutting them in one direction only to start with. I'm doing this for all 4 of the blanks, which are sapele, black limba, red oak, and yellowheart. Now we do a mix and match where we're trading colors and we want to glue these together this way. So first thing I'm doing is sanding them. Apologies for the shaky camera. The belt sander was making vibrations that made the tripod move. So what I'm doing is just sanding the faces so that they nestle together nicely. And now I'm gluing them together. I'm doing this for all 4, of course. Now this one's finished. It's black limba and sapele. Here we have red oak and yellowheart. Another black limba and sapele. And another red oak and yellowheart. Now the other line that I drew, which divides the 7 inch into 4.5 and 2.5 again, I'm cutting along that line. With difficulty sometimes. Done. Okay, so we do our mix and match again. And now we have 4 bowl blanks that will each have all 4 colors. Time for some more sanding. More vibrations. This is just to get the faces to press against each other nice and clean so that they'll glue well. And it's time for another glue up. Now they're done. Let's take them out of the clamps. We have 4 bowl blanks that are each 4 colors. I'm finding the centers from all 4 of them, and I'm using a compass to draw the largest circle possible in all 4. So since they started as 7 inch by 7 inch bowl blanks, and I lost a little bit with the kerf from the saw, these circles are going to have a diameter of just a little bit less than 7 inches. And I'm also marking the corners and cutting off the corners. So I'm turning each square cross-section into an octagon. This is to not waste wood. These are exotic woods, and some of them are expensive. And I'll find a project to do with those scraps. And the last one. I dropped it. Okay, here we go. 4 octagonal bowl blanks. Okay, let's put one on the lathe. So the first thing we do is we round it. Turn that octagon into a circle. And I'm going very fast motion here. We also have a bit of vibration again, which I'm going to solve that problem pretty soon by switching from my tripod to my music stand. And what I'm doing besides rounding it is I'm also putting a lip on the top of the bowl, and then I'm forming the sweep down the side. and I'm vacuuming. Okay, now I'm forming my mortise on the bottom of the bowl. I apologize for the bad angle. I'm going to solve this problem in a few seconds. But I'm cutting a mortise, which is a circular indentation in the bottom of the bowl, which is there so that the chuck can hang onto it when I turn the bowl around, when it comes time to hollow out the inside of the bowl. First, I'm smoothing out the bottom, which is a little bit not perfectly flush and has bits of glue sticking out of it. And then I form the mortise. I'm checking it to see if the chuck will fit. And I'm putting a dovetail into it so that it will be gripped better by the chuck. For this first bowl, I did not do this very well, and this bowl came off the lathe several times, so you'll get to see a couple of those. But the other 3 bowls were fine. My excuse is it had been a couple of months since I did a bowl, because I was busy making Christmas tree ornaments. So now I'm fine-tuning that sweep down the side and the lip. And I'm sanding. So I'm going from 60 grit to 600 grit, 7 grit levels. And I have the lathe moving at its slowest speed. Still looks fast because I have fast motion going. In between grit levels, I use a paintbrush to brush off the dust. And a bit of vacuuming, get rid of the dust out of the way so that I can do my finishing. I'm using U-Butte Triple E abrasive paste, which I rub on everywhere. And then I turn on the lathe and buff it using a piece of fabric from an old t-shirt. The abrasive paste continues the sanding process. It's like sanding to a much higher grit level. And it already looks nicer. Then I'm putting on the friction polish, which is also U-Butte, and buff that in. That's all I'm doing for the finishing of these bowls. It's not always what I do, but I decided I was just going to do that. And these finishes are food safe. And now I'm taking it off the chuck. I'm taking the faceplate off the lathe so that I can put it on the chuck. Put the chuck on. And I'm going to stabilize it with the live center just to make sure it's centered before I tighten the chuck into it. And now I take the faceplate off. Now again, these pieces of wood are not flush to each other because I don't have a planer. So when I start turning it, I'm being very gentle at first to get rid of the clods of glue that are sticking out. Okay, we have skipped ahead to show the branding process, which actually happened before I took it off the faceplate. My first brand is an evergreen tree, and now a branchy tree, which I put on a little too low this time. And now I'm putting in Doug's shed, which I put on a little too high this time. And I also didn't really press it properly for the DO, so I had to go back in. Turned out okay. Now it's turned around and I'm showing the hollowing out, the beginning of the hollowing out process. So very gentle at first because of all that glue and the pieces of wood not being flush. And then I'm going to start hollowing, but I'm going to become overconfident. And there we go. Let's see that again in slow motion. So I just tried to remove too much wood. and my mortise was not good. And you can also see that the bowl is going to hit the leg of the tripod and make the camera move right about now. Oh no. Okay, that's the only one I'm going to show in slow motion. Now, I'm finishing the hollowing out process, but you can see the bowl's wobbly. And I had to fight my way through this. This problem was caused by me not making a good mortise. I redid the mortise. I put it back on, but when I redid the mortise, it was not flat to the same plane as it had been the first time I did one. So, once it goes bad, it can go very, very bad. Fortunately, at this stage in the process, I'm out of the line of fire. When it comes off the lathe, it does tend not to hit me. And this bowl is small enough that it's not as dangerous as a bigger bowl would be. Plus, I'm wearing my personal protective equipment. So I'm doing some of the hollowing out now. The first half of the hollowing out, I'll call it. This is still bowl number 1. And I'm struggling because of the wobble. It came off, like I said, 5 more times, but I'm only going to show one of them. And what I do is I remove a bit from the center and then I widen it. And the closer I get to the outside edge, the more difficulty I'm having because of that wobble. Trying the square tool sometimes and then realizing no. With the wobble, I don't feel safe doing that. I'm going back to the round tool. There's a catch, which I got away with, and here's going to be another one. I was trying the square tool again. Move the tool rest closer to improve the leverage, which does help matters, but it doesn't stop the bolt from coming off again. Very fast forward. This is the longest part of the process. And there she goes. So it wasn't damaged. Now I've switched to a different bowl. You can tell by the lack of wobble, and I've also switched to a better camera angle. This is bowl number 3. And I'm doing the second half of the hollowing out process. I'm measuring occasionally to see how deep I've gone, to make sure I don't accidentally create a funnel. At this point, I have chosen how deep I want to go, and I've flattened the bottom and the center, and I'm just gradually working on the inner shoulder of the thing, and gradually making that flat bit in the center a little wider. Nice and easy. This bowl never came off the chuck. Bowls number 2 and 3 never came off. Bowl number 4, I haven't even started turning yet. And every now and then I clean up my shop vac. The closer I get to this corner, the more difficult it is to avoid a catch and avoid a problem. And the only way to deal with it is to just be really careful and nice and slow. Anytime you have some sawdust or some shavings coming off, you're getting there. And a bit of patience brings you there. Improve the angle of the tool rest every now and then. I am going to get a curved tool rest soon. I find myself really wanting one. Okay, it's time for the sanding of the inside. Same process, 7 grit levels from 60 to 600. Lathe at its slowest speed, which for my lathe is around 600. I really wish it would go slower, but it won't. Sanding is the time that you make it beautiful. That's the last grit level, 600. And now I'm going to do the U-Butte abrasive paste and the shallow wax friction polish again. Just coat the entire surface with a bit of the substance. I'm just doing the inside and the lip, of course, because the outside's already done. And then turn it on and buff it. And so the sanding process is continued at this point in the abrasive paste. And you can feel it getting smoother under your fingers. The wax everywhere. He likes what he sees. It's time to take it off. So this is bowl number 3. It hasn't been branded yet at this stage, but I already showed the branding process with bowl number 1. I'm not going to show it again. Carefully take it off, show it off to the camera. Okay, so we're nearly finished. This is bowl number 3. It just needs to be branded. And here's bowl number 4, which is still in octagonal bowl blank form. These 4 bowls are going to 4 different people as presents. 2 of them have already been delivered, and that's why I can't show off all 4 of them at once in finished fashion. The 4 woods are yellowheart, black limba, sapele, and red oak.